Hello, my name is Alexander Morari. I'm the founder of ITKeyMedia, and this is our podcast about Central and Eastern European startups that are in pre-Series A stage. And our guest tonight, is Tarvo Õng, the co-founder of Fusebox. This is a company that created a platform that helps businesses save on their energy bills, but also reduce CO emission and even earn from energy markets. Tere õhtust.
Hello. Thank you, Alex. It's good to be here.
Yes, Tarvo. So the whole description of the company that I just mentioned probably makes you one of the most sought after businesses right now. We are recording this January 2023, and I think if you could stretch the imagination, this year could be the year of energy or energy-related solutions. Would you agree?
I totally agree.
And why, in your opinion? What are the reasons for that? Like a couple of bullet points.
Yeah, it's basically what everybody knows is that the energy security, development of technology, batteries coming in, more renewables being installed, general lack of energy in some cases. So 100 different reasons why energy is the main topic in this year, at least.
And your approach is not on the hardware side, but on software side, right? Like creating the effective interface between, I understand, energy producers and energy consumers, right?
Yeah, our platform is mainly IT, or the core is the IT. We have some hardware also because we have not found better hardware from the market, let's say. So, and we develop our technology or the IT to other companies who are closely connected to electricity consumers and who can use our platform to offer these savings and earnings services to the final electricity consumers, are energy efficiency companies, utilities, building automation companies, different companies that have access to consumers or who are large consumers by themselves.
Oh, interesting. Okay. And we have just started our round one, the solution itself. So interesting to understand also that your clients, right, your immediate customers are the ones who serve next level or next dimension of clients, either large consumers or even utilities, should I say. Okay. And so this makes me think of the sales process challenges right away, because utilities are not known to be very much open-minded to, innovations, and I understand the sales process is not easy and long. It requires long time. Is that so in your case?
Yeah, but we see that they are very open because the solution that we offer can be a tool in their toolbox to offer their clients better services, make the clients more sticky, so to say, to bring more value to the customers, not talk about the energy price only. So we're bringing in something different, and that's interesting for them. Yep, the sales cycle is quite long, but that's okay.
Mm-hmm. And so it would be fair to say that your platform, the success of your platform, is kind of resting on three, should we say, whales, right? Energy bills, CO2, and CO2 emission reduction, right? But also the opportunity to earn from the markets. Let's try to deal or dissect, to vivisect each of the whales, okay? Let's start with the energy consumption. So how exactly you suggest your clients to reduce energy bills or energy consumption?
Yeah, in our case, the thing is that we usually do not lower the amount of kilowatt hours the consumers are consuming, but we are lowering the amount of euros or money they spend on those kilowatt hours. So, and our systems are using the wisdom of the local building automation system that the clients usually have already on site. And we're using the inertia or flexibility of different processes that might even not be the main processes of the building or the industry. For example, all processes that have inertia or flexibility are, for example, electrical heating, cooling, ventilation, pumping, charging activities, EVs, batteries, so on. We take the flexibility out of these processes and use it as an extra resource to sell back to the electricity system. And this flexibility that we get from these assets is a substitute for fossil fuel generators that are used to balance the supply and demand in the electricity system.
Okay, translate this into simpler language, simple English. Imagine I am your 8-year-old friend, okay? You just got to know me. So what exactly do you mean? How can I, as a client of yours, how can I use, you mentioned this inertia, right? Or flexibility of my hardware to reduce energy consumption? I mean, to reduce the bill amounts. How exactly? You can take me through a specific case and guide me through the process. Like, where's the pain point? How do you identify the pain point, and what exactly you can do? Because you mentioned so many hardware. You mentioned so many energy-consuming or energy-driven kind of hardware, and then you said that we could use by inertia some of this energy to decrease amounts on our bills, but also use it in flexible way in other areas of our business. How exactly? Take me through a specific client, let's say, without a name, but the type of business and so on.
Let's say that bring it to a very small scale. Let's say that there is you have a house, private house, and there's outside there is a small electricity generator generating electricity for your house.
Yes, okay.
And then you have this TV, fridge, and some other lights on and consuming electricity. And then you want to boil some water also. If you start the boiler, or you want to switch on the can, so to say, electrical, then the generator might not be enough to feed it all. So it means that if you plug the fridge off from the electrical system and you switch on the boiler, then everything will continue working as well as it's always working. So, and if you have finished boiling the water, then you plug the fridge back in. And believe me, nothing has happened with the butter, the salads, whatever you have in the fridge. So this is the inertia, that nothing really happens if you plug something off the grid for a very short period of time. So, but in industrial assets or in office buildings, we do it even smarter ways. We never switch anything off. We just, let's say, fridge, it's usually +4 degrees. We just kind of turn it to +5 for some minutes only, so that it stops consuming electricity from the grid for a very short period of time. And this very short period of time is enough to help the electricity system to survive and get money for that.
Okay. Wow.
Is it 8-year-old?
Yes, the 8-year-old kid in me is happy because I understand now that I can ask my parents for really like real cool PlayStation, one more PlayStation, and our grid or our power generator will survive because you will help my parents manage the bills. Interesting. So I understand in the context of a large scale industrial facility, this is more or less clear because this is a closed system, and so you have to come with your brain power, I understand, right, to see what you can cover with your platform, where is this buffer of flexibility, right, or buffer of security, energy security combined with the process security, technological security, and so on, in a closed system. It's more or less, I think I understand. What about in a more open-ended kind of systems, like thousands of clients of your utility services providers?
Let's say it all comes down to the building again. That's, for example, let's take an office building. Yeah. In the office building, the ventilation system, for example, has some flexibility in it. And the ventilation system is operated by the local building management system. And it runs all the time, basically. And what we can do is that in some cases, we are giving a signal to the building automation system to lower the power of the ventilation, let's say 20%. And these modern buildings also have CO2 measurement units and stuff everywhere in there. So if the CO2 level or the air quality level should go worse, then it pushes the ventilation back to work with 100% of power. But it actually never does that. If we checked only the CO2 measurement CO2 levels, then we could turn the ventilation down 50% or 70%, and the quality of the air would remain. But in case of this kind of buildings and ventilation, we have to be aware that if you turn the ventilation down more than 20%, then the sound of the ventilation goes away. And then people start thinking that, oh, they took the air away, although nothing in the air quality actually happened. So how we operate is that when we use the flexibility of different devices, then the local building or site does not notice, or people in there are not noticing anything. It's done so smoothly, not interrupting anything that is vital and seen or listened.
When you mention CO2 levels, you mean inside, right? It's like part of this, there's this well certification for buildings for how well, let's say, tenants feel, right? Or residents of a building.
Exactly.
Okay.
But at the same time, all of these certificates that buildings get, this LED and whatsoever,
LEED, BREEAM,
these also give extra points to the building if it has demand response or if the flexibility of the assets is used.
It's there in their criteria for evaluation assessment? Interesting.
Exactly.
Say it again. Demand flexibility, you said, right? This is the approach?
Yeah, it's called demand response, but actually we try to avoid this virtual power plant or demand response kind of buzzwords because they mean different things in different countries. So it's the usage of the flexibility.
Cool. Okay. So there's inherent flexibility in every piece of equipment, and then it's multiplied somehow, right? I understand if you take into consideration let's say the whole orchestra, right, of hardware in a building or manufacturing facility. And okay, so who provides you with information about technical specifications that you then need to analyze? How big is the buffer? How big is the flexibility of a specific piece of equipment or of the whole orchestra in a manufacturing facility? Technically, you take these, you do the measurement. So this is just based on some technical specifications as is, and this could differ. And this could differ within time.
Get your point. So the question. So it is usually so that if it is an older building, there usually is, and if it has ventilation and cooling systems, for example, then there's two options. That if it's an older building, then usually it is not very automated. The building is not, so to say, cloud connected. In this case, the local automation company who is managing the building, they have to do the upgrade to make it flexible in a secured and automated ways.
And so, what do you mean upgrade? Sorry, what do you mean upgrade? Upgrade on the sensor side, or upgrade like the whole HVAC system, which is very, very prohibitively expensive very often?
Sometimes the upgrade, yes, to make it all, to connect it to the cloud and make it accessible by fusebox signal, for example. Sometimes it costs 500 euros, sometimes it costs 10,000 euros, but it's not only to start using the flexibility, but also it makes everything running better. So the payback time in these cases is usually 2 years max. So, and if it's a new building with a cloud connected automation systems, then nobody has to even to go on site. We can connect with a building through the API. And then if we give a system, give a signal to the local automation system, then what's pre-programmed actually happens. And when, for example, when we're giving a signal to the ventilation system, then the ventilation power goes down 20%, and the local system checks all the time if the air quality is okay or not. If it remains okay, then the ventilation is turned a bit down for some half an hour or a few minutes, whatever is the need. But if the air quality should go worse than pre-given these set points, then ventilation system starts working anyway and pushes our signal out. Basically, what we say to our customers, that the signal we send in is not a control signal as such. We don't control anything. Mm-hmm. When we send the signal in, then the signal basically asks that if all conditions match, would you please go down or up with your electricity consumption? And the local automation system, if it is really automated and smart, then it can say that if all the conditions match or not.
After some decrease in something, yeah? A decrease in, okay, interesting. Now,
and with this flexibility, what we can do, we can avoid high peak prices in the day-ahead markets or peak prices in these grid tariffs. Then we can use this flexibility to replace fossil fuel power plants that are used for balancing the supply and demand in the electricity system and get payments. So yes, we get these savings with the avoidance of high prices. We get money. We usually only pay our customers. We never invoice our customers. So we get the money from the electricity system to pay to our customers for the flexibility, and we can reduce the CO2 emissions, but not the client's CO2 emissions, but the CO2 emissions of the electricity system, because we are pushing away the fossil fuel generators from the market. If we offer 10 megawatts of flexibility to the market, then it means that some diesel or gas power plant did not produce or generate this 10 megawatts of electricity. The CO2, that never happened.
You mean this diesel generator or similar that are locally used, right?
Yeah, locally or in the electricity system. It's somewhere else in the country, for example. It can be very far away.
So let's say for a little bit within the context of commercial real estate, like offices, shopping centers, and so on. Do we have many clients like these? Are the landlords, so to say, open to these to test out your solutions? And
yes, they're eager to try it out. And always the question comes down to what kind of automation system do you have? If you don't have anything, then you cannot use the flexibility. If you have a good automation system, then you're on very fast. If you have something, then it must be upgraded, and then you're on.
Yeah. So your natural selection of your clients is based on whether or not the advancement of their automation is high enough. Okay, high level enough. Okay, clear. And then the more automated is the building, let's say commercial real estate building, isn't it the more competitive or the more challenging it's for you to compete with a properly orchestrated BMS, building management system?
No,
you're not afraid. You're not afraid because what you do is you do something on top of what they are doing, and the usual system of the usual set of elements in a building management system is not the same what you are doing, right? Or otherwise, they cannot achieve what you can achieve, imposing your platform on top of their BMS system. Is that so? Like they are not able to achieve what you can achieve with your platform. Like honestly.
Yeah, I get your question. And thing is that these are the companies for whom we are developing our platform anyways. This is the technology they can use as a white label solution or a software as a service, have us as a tool in their toolbox to offer different kind of services to their customers.
Okay.
If they are in this building anyway, optimizing everything, then there will always be flexibility in this cooling system. And as I said before, when we play with the cooling power, then we don't reduce the kilowatt hours that the building or the cooling system consumes, meaning that these guys don't want to do it because there's no point. But as we are trading this flexibility, then there is a point to use this flexibility and play with the kilowatts, even though the amount of kilowatts remains that they consume. So yes, we are not going to the businesses directly ourselves. We go in through the energy efficiency companies, for example.
Okay. So you are like your distribution channel is the whole like multitude of companies who have already buildings under management, operation, and so on. Okay, clear.
Exactly.
It's not like you're not replacing them; you are enabling them to be more effective. Okay.
Yeah, they can earn more revenue and deliver more results to the customer with the same team, with their existing portfolio of clients.
Cool. So I understand this would be what? Facility management companies, property management companies, right?
Yep.
Or different combination of these. Okay. Plus utilities I mentioned and so on. Okay, interesting. Now, so we covered energy, how to reduce energy bills. We covered CO2 in a way, right? Because what you meant by CO2 is locally managed or monitored CO2 levels in the buildings themselves, but also reducing the out of building kind of consumption or production emission of CO2 by energy producers. Clear? And what's left is you claim, in a bit provocative tone, you claim that you help companies earn on the trading market. I mean, from the trading market, I understand. So a little bit about this. What's the approach here?
Yeah, this is something that we can do extra with the flexibility, and the system works like that. That there are fossil fuel generators, because they are fast reacting, always on standby, waiting for a signal from the local electricity system in the country. And if there is a problem in the system, meaning that the consumption is higher than the generation, for example, because some power plant did not start, or there can be 100 different reasons of the imbalance. And then usually what they did was that the company who is responsible for the balance of the supply and demand, they called to these generators and said, start now. And then they started generating energy to the system very fast, and the deficit was covered, let's say. What we do now, we bring the same result, but we don't generate extra, but we lower the demand. So in this case, when this happens, we give a signal to, let's say, 1,000 buildings to reduce the ventilation power 20%, and it equals a pretty big power plant that could produce this extra to the system. So the result is the same, and the price is the same. So we compete with fossil fuel power plants in the electricity balancing market.
Like ultimately, I understand. Okay. And how do you pay? I mean, how do you pay back, I understand, to your clients?
We do the measuring, reporting, and different stuff during these regulations. And then we get money from this balancing company, this transmission system operator in the market.
Okay.
We get payments as these diesel or gas power plants get payments for their fuel. And then they pay for their fuel and we pay for our fuel. And our fuel is the flexibility of our customers. So what it means is that we get the money from the transmission system operator and then spread it to those guys who gave us the flexibility according to how much who gave. We are measuring it and reporting it to the customers also. So we make payments to them.
Yep. Okay.
And when we're working through partnerships, then it can be also a bit more complicated or more simple, dependent on the business model of the partner between the partner and their client. So sometimes, as we trade the energy usually, in case of utilities trade, so but getting complex. But anyway, then we give the money to the partners, and the partners then can decide how much they give to the final customers, dependent on their business models.
Interesting. Here's a challenge for you. In 3 or 5 milestones, describe, if you could, imagine I'm your potential VC investor, right? Describe the key milestones and successes for fusebox to date. Okay, so what I mean, take me to the moment when you had the idea and until today in 3-5 milestones, and also mixing in your earning model, right? The pricing model. How do you earn based on what you give to?
Yeah, so basically stepping a few steps back where we came from and where we're going to. Yeah, so in the beginning with the first investors, we said that we're going to be a flexibility trader in Baltics, offering these flexibility services here, going to customers, getting it the flexibility, and then offering it to the system. Then the next step was what we promised to the next investors in the next round was that now we're going away from business to business kind of approach, but to moving to business to partner, because this gives us a ability to reach out to more customers through our partners and get more volumes for trading. We did that and it went well. So what we promised now of just being here just recently closed around, what we promised now to the customers or these investors is that we have now through partners signed about 50,000 sites that we can add to our platform. Now it's the technical question, how to do it, how quickly we can do it, and so on. We promised now that we will get those sites connected to our platform. And this now means that we promise to deliver revenues. Can't tell the exact numbers, but these are the points that we have gone through so far.
On a very general level, in any case, is the company closing on break-even point? Are you earning or not yet?
We were supposed to be in the break-even point in mid this year, but it will not happen because we took new markets to conquer and to go into. Now we're doing hiring and so on, so we cannot be revenue positive.
Yeah, okay. I mean, this is not a prerequisite for success, of course, as we know. What about geographical coverage right now? So you said Baltic countries, okay, and your next destinations for this year, 2023, are what in priority list?
Yeah, we're getting stronger in those countries where we are at the moment, and these are Baltics, Scandinavia, Western Europe, and Greece. So. Altogether 12 countries where we operate at the moment.
Oh, cool. Okay. What would you say are the key challenges for you to expand from a market to a market? Is it more on technical side, on like regulations, governance, and such, or just the sheer challenge of starting the sales process in a completely new country with different players and so on?
Yeah, I can say yes to all of those options. So they all come into play, and I think it's getting easier and easier with every market because we are learning and we are having, in the terms of IT, we have more these puzzle pieces that okay, in this market, let's take piece of that from one market, let's take another piece of that from seventh market and put them together. Now it's we just have more tools to play with. So it's getting easier and easier. Legislation thing is definitely something that we have to keep eye on all the time because the rules are in some countries, they are set In some countries they are not set. In some countries they are, or everywhere they are changing all the time. So yep, this is something that we have to work all the time. And it of course depends also on the partners that we have in those markets. In some markets, the partner knows very well what's happening and so on. So we don't have to worry about that at all. But in some markets, we have to do that job.
Okay. I had a question. So imagine the context. I am a warehouse facility and I have like 20,000 square meters of rooftop area, and I have rooftop solar panels, right? And so I'm just improvising a little bit. So for example, I have, 2 megawatt, how is that? High peak, or was that? Like highest or peak energy production by my solar panels are 2 megawatts, okay?
Yep.
And so would you be able to teach my system, building management system, to increase the utilization of solar panel if the production of energy is higher? It's a sunny day, not so clouded, so on, and vice versa. Decrease reliance on solar panel and increase reliance on energy when energy is cheaper, for example.
Yeah, that's easy. That we can do easily. We dependent on your location, we would recommend also a battery to be installed on site to be at the buffer between your consumption and generation. And in some cases, as funny as it might be, maybe it's a very sunny day and you're consuming electricity also, but maybe we will switch off your panels and consume everything from the electricity system, because the electricity system is paying you to consume. So it's more profitable than consuming from the panels.
It's hard to resist the temptation to just go ahead and try the way you describe it. Interesting.
Yep, that's how it works. These energy markets that we are operating on, they dependent on the market again. The electricity for a regular person, there is electricity market where we buy electricity from. Easy. It's always expensive, never cheap, pretty much. So but there are actually at least 7 different layers, and we are playing with all of those 7, and we are using all of these options and possibilities from those markets, and we engage our customers also in there. This is where we get those negative prices or very high prices for the flexibility. That's our job.
Yeah, okay. January 2023, what's the biggest obstacle to companies, let's say growth, explosive growth, you would say?
Lack of experience. This is the first fusebox I'm building. It's not a 3rd or 7th. So we are growing, the team is growing, we are, success is following, and it's all about learning, testing, being aware, reacting fast. If falling, then getting up and learning again. So this is the learning process that is the hardest, I guess, at the moment, but it's also very exciting.
So I understand what you said. What the biggest obstacles are the bumps on the learning curve, right? The bumps and barriers.
Yes.
That you need to hop over and so on. Okay.
True.
Interesting. But that's what I understand. Let's move around to competitors. I understand you wanted to say also that there's not much competition around, that you can learn from their mistakes and so on and so on. What about the competitive landscape? Would you say in what you are doing, what you are implementing into the market, it's a crowded place or not yet?
Yeah, we're not selling jeans that everybody can do. So it's a rather not competitive. But there are very big players with whom we are very, very micro or nano or whatever is the smallest measurement. So, but we do stuff differently. And these big players tend to be like dinosaurs, slow, maybe not so flexible in terms of the cooperation needs with the partners and so on. We are very flexible. We are keeping the company very lean and fast moving. And we were born in Baltics, in Estonia. And after 3 years of, or 4 years of working there, we understood that, Jesus, this is the worst market in the world where we can operate because of low prices, small customers, low volatility, but we had survived. This means that our DNA is different compared to other companies who were born in Candyland, let's say, that they went for a very large customers only. They have very many people hired because they can afford it. In our case, we try to automate everything because we cannot afford hiring too many people to do stuff. Of course, the prices have now gone up and we are growing and we are in different markets, but this DNA is something that we're keeping. The company culture, and culture beats strategy anytime.
So there's yet another dimension why Estonia could be considered as a workshop for global expansion, right? You try in Estonia expand to cross border to a couple of more markets in the region, and then if you've done it there, on you go. The sky is the limit.
Okay. Yeah, we have a saying in our team about Baltics that if you can make it here, you can make it everywhere.
Yeah. So interesting. So that's in the case of Estonia. I think the advantage of being a relatively small market, but highly open to innovative approach to things, right? Including like digital citizenship, and it's easy to implement changes, especially with somebody who is like open-minded in the higher governmental decision-making levels and so on and so on. And then based on that, all the other markets, just to say, all the other markets all of a sudden show you like a wormhole or like a time machine, right?
Yeah.
Where you started, basically. Interesting. Okay, cool. Tarvo, let's move on to the next round. Round 3 is a quick Q&A, but basically just one question, which I usually ask is, as a busy co-founder, what are the key productivity hacks that you could share with us? And I mean, not the tools, but the way you do things, okay? To stay organized, to, motivated as a co-founder, productive, professionally, privately, and so on and so on.
Yeah, it's there are definitely better guys who can give better answers to these questions, because my wife says that, oh my God, you're not organized at all. How can you do it? So, and I work full days and I work half nights. So work-life balance is not balanced at all, definitely. But I'm learning from the best. I'm trying to teach myself, read books, listen to podcasts, and so on. So I think that the key here is that we are also hiring a lot of people at the moment, and trusting people and delegating tasks to them is the key, because they can perform the tasks much better than I do. And this gives me also more time for sleep and to think, not act all the time.
Okay, which means you have enough money, right, to hire somebody who you would be delegating to. But now here's the challenge again. What was your, what should I say, like not philosophy, what was your approach when delegating, let's say in the very beginning of your delegating kind of history in this company? Would you go somebody who you were 100% sure they would be up to the challenge, up to your expectations, or there was this like flexibility kind of buffer that you gave this person, so you were not sure 100% they would make it, but you in any case gave them, even at a big risk of then redoing or coming back and doing yourself? So I'm not sure if the question is clear enough. Let me know, I'll paraphrase, but my idea is, Like, how did you start delegating in this specific company? Just because you were overloaded, or because you saw somebody with high potential, or just because you said, I need to do this and let's go and risk and see what happens?
In Estonia, usually it is so that if you get a business idea, then you keep it to yourself. You don't tell about it to anyone, because everybody can steal your idea and walk away with this, and you're left with nothing. When I started the company, then I took totally vice versa approach, so to say. I went to everybody. I spoke with everybody. I went to all of the potential competitors that I saw, and I spoke to them. I learned a lot. I got a lot of new ideas. I got a lot of new friends and so on. So when I did first hires, then I delegated much stuff right away to these people or these people. And I just held my fingers crossed that they will perform, not knowing if they will or not. So the attitude since the beginning has been being very open and trusting.
Yeah, and most of those people that you delegated to from the very beginning, they were the domain experts, or not necessarily. They would learn in during the match itself. They would learn the rules of the game.
I've never learned anything about energy. When I started in the energy field, then I did not know the difference between kilowatt or kilowatt hour or megawatt. So these people that I hired they know what electricity actually consists of and where it's coming from. So they actually know what we're doing. And what matters also is the attitude, of course. Glass must be half full, not half empty, no matter how smart you are. So what was the question?
The delegations, you started to delegate to people with domain expertise, or not necessarily, and they would learn the industry on the go.
They all had to learn the industry on the go, because when we started, then pretty much there was no demand response. Nobody knew about it. So they knew where the electricity comes from, where it's going, how it's operated, done, produced, generated, whatever. But how to play with this flexibility, where to get this flexibility from, what to do with this, how to monetize it, this is all new. So everybody had to learn.
Yeah, okay. Cool, interesting. Tarvo, let's move on to round 4, the company itself. I will start just with the birth of the company. It's 2014, December 2014, right?
Yes, this is where we were born, but 4 years later we pivoted, kind of. This is where we saw that we have this different DNA, and we can do not business-to-business sales, but we can build a technology that others can use.
Okay, how many people are in the founding team?
It's 2 people.
Yourself and?
Myself and the chief financial officer.
I mean, after parallel, right?
Yes.
Okay, and don't be like too modest. You said you didn't know energy, but you came to this company and they said with some experience in the energy sector, right? Because you are more than 10 plus years of experience in the energy sector, but also a combination of sales and international trade, right? So that all of these comes very handy to this company.
I think that the main reason why we are talking here at the moment, and why we can afford hiring people to do stuff for Fusebox or develop the technology with us, is the fact that I did not know anything about energy. Because all the smart guys that I spoke to, they said, don't do it, bullshit. It's not gonna work. We are connected to the Russian system and it's giving the flexibility for us for free. Don't do it. But not knowing about that, I just kept on going, and it was worth it.
And so you were in a way irrational, but now tell me, did you make yourself to be irrational rationally? You know what I mean? It's like, was it you were aware of your incompetence and you did it just for the fun of it, for the hell of it, I can do it anyways, or you were not aware of your very like high level of incompetence?
It was a Robin Hood attitude also. It was this, as said earlier, my wife says, "Oh my God, you're so unorganized." And
Yeah.
plus this Robin Hood attitude, plus something else in my brain that just made me do it. And the Robin Hood attitude came from a large utility where I worked, where I went. It was my first step in the energy field, and I exceeded the expectations they put on me more than 10 times, but suddenly they cut my salary very roughly. And then I got pissed off and I said that, see you in the market one day. And then I just went out there, and now we're competing and we are winning. So it feels so good. And
Interesting.
but in a friendly way, of course. And we are in negotiations to start cooperation also. So happy.
You're happy with the sweet revenge in a business way, of course.
Yeah, this sweet revenge, and happy that they find that starting cooperation with Fusebox is good for their business also. So
Yeah.
everybody is winning.
Yeah. So in a way, you should thank them, right, for the impulse.
True.
Cool. Interesting. Tarvo, so and as far as the whole team, I understand it's around what, to 10, 12 people right now. So I have all around sales, marketing, engineering, IT devs, and you said that you're hiring. Where's the biggest pain point as far as the team structure?
I don't see pain points. It's just the tasks that we have to perform. We have to find good people to Scandinavia, to Western Europe, to Poland. So it's not a pain point. I think that this is the normal task that we have to perform. The better we do it, the more successful we are. And yeah, I think that the challenge is to find good people. It's we're lucky that people want to work with Fusebox because of what we do, how we do it, and the company culture.
We'll come back to company culture in a second. You have the time to think it up, or to think how to define. Now, in any case, so you said you are hiring, and it's not hiring. It's not to hire somebody to fill a vacancy which is like urgent and critical, mission critical here and now, but instead it's related to expansion. And so those would be what, on the sales, business development kind of parts, like country officers, you could say, right?
Yeah.
Who would take you to the markets, to all the groups of clients and potential customers that you know already from other markets. Interesting. Okay, and so you mentioned you're now actively looking for country offices, sales, business development professionals in Poland, Scandinavia. What else?
Western Europe, Netherlands.
Oh yes, thank you.
Austria,
Netherlands,
Germany.
So like DACH, gebied, I understand, in Netherlands. Okay, cool. In a sentence or two, how would you define who you're looking for, by the way, there? So strong business sales people, or somebody who knows your, target customer groups as well?
We want those people to have some knowledge about electricity system or electricity market or what is related to our business, because we don't want to. There can be very, very, very nice people who can sell furniture, but then it means that we have to teach them everything from scratch, other than sales. Or of course we're not selling our stuff. We're telling customers that what we do, and we don't have to sell. They want to have it anyway. So it's like preaching. So
yeah.
And we're looking for those people who know the market. And as we are expanding fast, then our question is that, look, we are here at the moment. We want to go there. Will you take us there? So this person has to know what we're talking about, and then say that, yep, I can do it, or sorry, that's not me.
Yeah, okay. So coming back to my question about company culture. You mentioned it, and it's interesting how a co-founder of a company, which is still relatively small, 10, 12 people right now in the company, how you define the culture And if you could, please start with whether or not this was the conscious approach to culture, company culture definition, or it just popped up based on your the style of your interaction with the team members. Okay.
So there are certain things that people like in Fusebox, and we want to keep it that way. The one thing is that we want to automate everything. Very often, I tell to people whom we are hiring is that when they ask that, how do I know that my job is well done? Then the answer is that your job is very well done when you know that you're not needed anymore. Doesn't mean that we get rid of this person, then we give them a next task. It means that we have to automate everything. We don't want human action involved in our processes. That's it. People find it interesting, challenging, and so on. Then what we promote and what we like in our company is when people fail. And people fail when they try new things. If we don't fail for some time, then I ask people in the team meetings that, why don't we fail? It means that we don't try new things. So we are too confident about something, but we have to have this scientist point of view that never be certain of anything, always question, always test, try new things and so on. And it's exciting, but we have it in certain level so that people actually know where we are going and what is the main goal. And what we also say that when you dream of something that, oh, if it works like this or that, or if we can achieve this or that, then everything you dream of before having goosebumps is usual stuff. Always dream until goosebumps. Then you're in the right place. And then go for that.
Do you feel the goosebumps still?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, good. Just wanted to check.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Interesting. Tarvo, let's move on. Round 5, Formula F3, funding for the future. Okay. So you just mentioned that the recent round was closed and the total funding amount is just about 4 million euros, with investor lineup including Contrarian and Echo Ventures, Fly Ventures, but also PKO BP from Poland. Interesting. If I can ask, how come PKO BP, incidentally the largest bank in Poland, got interested by your product? Not necessarily, one of your presumable, let's say, investors. I wouldn't imagine myself somebody like this. So how come?
I think that what they have in mind is the well-being and well-serving of their customers. And their customers are facing also environmental measurements and demands from the market and from the legislation side. And I believe that they think that their customers can use us to answer to those demands and to solve those problems. So, not problems, but just to get stuff done that's needed to reduce the CO2 emissions and so on. And what is also very important in case of using the technology or the service that Fusebox technology can offer is that when you're going after the goals of reducing CO2 emissions or energy consumption, then using Fusebox is the first and the easiest and the cheapest step you can take. So I believe that, coming back to your question, I believe that using us, they can serve their customers better. That's the main thing.
Yeah. And the rest of the VCs that I mentioned are either technically minded or eco kind of minded, right? Sustainability and so on. So that's interesting that you managed to to attract, I would say, companies with long-term, who are aligned, I mean, with your long-term mission as well. Cool.
Yeah, we're very happy with them.
Yeah, cool. Now, what about the next funding round plans? When, how, what for?
Yeah, we're planning the next round after something like 1.5 years, and after we have proved that we can monetize the clients that we have signed at the moment, and we have a lot to do already in those existing markets that we have. And then we need to expand ourselves towards US or Southeast Asia or Australia. So time will tell more exactly. We're working on that. So the plan is to expand, of course.
And just to make sure that you mean the next investment round could be half in the middle of 2024, right? So this is the approach.
Exactly. Yeah, true.
Okay. So I cannot miss this question about planned US expansion. Where do you see the biggest challenges, the biggest opportunity? Have you made any market research in the meantime?
Yeah, we have done market research, and in case of US, what I'm mostly afraid of is that I cannot sleep again for some years because of the time differences, and have to be involved. I would like to expand to Southeast Asia much more in terms of time zones, but let's see.
Yeah. What about your market research about US market? How would you say your expansion there could be different from your expansion in the European continent?
I think that we have to squeeze out a lot of more trust from our people again, because we need to put a totally new team in place in US, and we have to teach them and trust them and delegate stuff to them, because this is probably totally separate team in a separate time zone, and having a bit different products that they put there in the market. Though we have the fundament built pretty strong, and we have to make just some adjustments to be successful in US.
Amazing. So we covered not only your history by now, but also the plans and ambitions for the next 2 years, basically. And let's wrap up. Okay, so thank you very much for this conversation. Learned a lot, and also thank you for everybody for tuning in to this episode of the podcast, where we've been discussing with Tarvo, the co-founder of Fusebox, the innovative energy management software, and we've heard the ways in which businesses can use the software to optimize the consumption of electricity, decrease their bills, CO2 emissions, and even earn passive income by participating in the kind of balancing of the market. And we've learned also various industries and sectors where Fusebox could be utilized. And I want to wrap up this episode and thank you very much, Tarvo. This is one of the last episodes, by the way, and you were lucky to get in the 101 podcast about Central Eastern European startups. Thank you very much.
Thanks for the good questions, Alex.